Men and women, our brains don't even configure themselves in the same way. We think differently. Our vision is different. And we expect that the other person's supposed to be coming from our point of view. She proceeded to tell me about every time she'd seen me emasculate a man.
What did that look like? Most women don't even know when they're emasculating a man.
The more overt ones would be a woman has to pay attention to 9 things to have you understand something that she needs. I started asking the question, what makes a woman the right person for you to marry? There are 12 things on the list.
Alison Armstrong has spent a lifetime studying men. Welcome back to the Lila Rose Show. In today's episode, I sit down with author, coach, and relationship expert Alison Armstrong to discuss all things male and female dynamics, how to have healthier male and female relationships, especially marriages. We get into the deepest questions. So we go beyond things like love languages, communication styles, even attachment styles, and we get into very core questions about what is driving the needs of men and what are driving the needs of women. Everything we do at the Lila Rose Show is designed to help improve human flourishing, make your life better. And this is in pursuit of building out harmony between the sexes. Men and women are incredible. They're designed to work in beautiful harmony together. And I think this episode will be very eye-opening and fascinating for anyone interested in that topic. Now, Alison and I might not agree on everything, but I find tremendous value in a lot of the perspectives and insights that she shares in this interview. And as always, don't forget to be subscribed to the show. And if you're listening on podcast app, make sure that you leave us 5 stars and a review. That also helps the show reach more people. Alison Armstrong, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. I'm really excited about being here with you.
I was starting to talk with you before, and I was like, we've got to save this for the interview already. So you were saying so many interesting things. So I know people are going to really be benefited by this episode. My good friend, Ellen Fisher, introduced me to you and your work. And I thought these are perspectives that are incredibly difficult to find today, but are immensely valuable for women and for men.
Thank you.
And women really are the ones that can take hold of these ideas and incorporate them in their lives. So let's start with your background. What you were talking before we started the interview that you actually identify as an activist, which is interesting because I thought she's a speaker, a thought leader, an author.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I mean, I gave my teachers a whole lot of trouble starting in elementary school. But what about? And it shouldn't be that way. That's not right. So one thing led to another. I was working in the transformation of education, kindergarten teacher saying, but how do we teach our kids? Women asked me this, but how do we teach our kids when they can't stay awake in school because they've been kept up all night by their parents fighting? That was 4 years into me studying men. And I had started studying men because, like Kimberly in the Queen's Code, my friend was called a frog farmer. And it bounced.
Someone actually used those words on her.
This actually happened. His name was Herb.
That term is basically Prince Charming turns into a frog. Instead of you kiss the frog, he turns into Prince Charming, right? And
yes,
so
what Herb said to Lisa was, some women turn frogs into princes. You, my dear, turn princes into frogs.
Ouch.
Yeah. And she challenged him. This was in a seminar with about 200 people. Why is it that men are wonderful in the beginning and they'll take you to romantic places and they'll give you romantic gifts? And she said, and they'll listen to you talk about your pets and your family as if they care. And then within a few weeks or a few months, they turn into, and I mean, I'm not even going to recreate the bitterness in her voice. It hurts just to hear it. Sports watching, pizza eating, couch slugs. Why is that?
Articulate woman, but sad. Yeah. Sad perspective.
Yeah. And I was watching Herb, the trainer at the time is what they called him. And I was expecting a different reaction. I was watching very closely and it like, he liked it, like dug into it. And he walked down the aisle and he stood in front of her and intentionally checked her out just to aggravate her because she was leading. Some women lead with their sexuality. not knowing that to do that, you're causing the most primitive reactions in men. It's how we bring out the worst in men, one of the ways, and then we think that's who men are.
Meaning she was dressed provocatively.
She was dressed provocatively. Her stance was provocative. Her frosty lipstick, everything was provocative in a sexual way. And so that's when he said, "Oh, I see. You're a frog farmer." And, huh? What? And there's like groans in the room. And the men had crossed their legs at her question. When men open their legs, that's how you know they feel safe, that they're not going to be disempowered. And they had their legs crossed. They're on guard for being disempowered, for being emasculated. And their legs are crossed a lot, most of the time, because of our culture and individual women. So one thing led to the other, and then what happened, I call it the harmonic convergence, which so much of my life is like that. We have the same boss, you and I. and when she said, what if they can't learn because they've been up all night? I had been studying men at that time it was almost 5 years. And I had made a promise when I was 28 years old. I'd made what we call an impossible promise. So one could say the purpose of my life. I defined the purpose of my life when I was 28 years old. And the shorthand for it is heaven on earth. And the long way of expressing my promise was that every man, woman, and child would be fed, housed, clothed, loved, and respected. And I'd been working on the fed, housed, clothed. And I saw in that moment, like, oh, when there's love and respect, when we respect and love people, fed, housed, clothed, that's like,
it follows.
It's just a no-brainer in the presence of love and respect. Of course, we're going to care for each other, care for ourselves, because it applies. When we don't love and respect ourselves, we don't care for ourselves. So it just took a turn, right? There just took a turn that, who can't be heard is men. Because I'd been listening to them for almost 5 years, and I finally could hear what all the men, my father, when I was young, had been trying to tell me about himself. But I didn't believe it. I discounted it. And it's one of the things that, if a woman wants to know the men in her life better, whether it's her husband or her sons or men she works with, her brothers or father, what if they mean what they say? Because we tend to listen that when they say, I do that because, or I'm this way, or it is this way, we tend to listen to it as a poor excuse for bad behavior. And we don't treat it like it's real. We don't treat it like they're telling me the truth. Okay, how can I hear it? And that really what happens to people through the Queen's Code, for example, or our live workshops that were all the research to be able to write it, if we just consider they're men and women, just starting with gender hormones, men and women, our brains don't even configure themselves in the same way. We think differently. Our vision is different. We don't see the same things with our eyes, right? And we expect that the other person's supposed to be coming from our point of view, from our values, from our preferences and attachments, and from our wounds. And we expect so much of the other person to be like us. And we can't hear them when they're speaking about the world for them. And that was the first thing I had to do. I had to learn to listen. Stop interrupting. These are not superficial or shallow people at all. They're deep, deep, deep wells of feeling and emotion and care. Oh my gosh, how much they care. It is astonishing. But they think different. And you and I, we could interrupt each other back and forth for 2 hours and we'd be fine. We'd call it a conversation. But when that happens to a man, Or women later will, when the hormones change, we become single focused. Anyone who's single focused, you're running the train off the track, and they're just thinking that that's all there is to them. But when they've got something to say, if we don't let them say the whole thing, it just crashes and they don't pick it up again. They don't pick it up again unless they're serious about the point they're going to make. And usually when we're trying to get to know them, they're not trying to make a point. But we won't ever get to know them if we don't listen long enough. So that's what I started doing, and I was astonished by what I heard, and it was so different.
A huge thank you to our sponsor, We Heart Nutrition. We Heart Nutrition is America's premier pro-life, family-owned supplement company. These supplements are made in their most bioavailable form for your body for easy absorption and digestion. When I remember to take my vitamins, I feel it. I feel less brain fog, especially when I take the magnesium supplement. And when I forget to take my vitamins, I feel it. Thank you, We Heart Nutrition. I'll try not to forget you in the mornings. And they have a new product over at We Heart Nutrition that I'm excited about. If you know somebody who is concerned about their bone density or their bone health, there's a specific product for your bone health. It's for men and women ages 40 and older. Go to weheartnutrition.com right now and take their 20-second survey to find out the best supplement package for you that is specialized for wherever you are in your life, wherever you are with your health. That's weheartnutrition.com. Use the code Lila at checkout for a full 20% off your order.
I was born in 1960. So I grew up I was like coming of age in the convergence of Barbie dolls and feminism.
Glorious. I mean, I think about the antithesis of your message, Gloria Steinem. A man,
not
woman
now.
Okay.
Her message then,
Her
yes.
message then, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle.
I had that T-shirt. I wore that T-shirt proudly in my teens. I wore that T-shirt to a protest of a nuclear power plant being put in outside of San Luis Obispo.
The one that's melting down? Oh, no, that's a different one. Okay.
That's a different one. So isn't that sad? That's a different one, just that we would say that. Which one's melting now? So, yeah, I realized it's men now who can't be heard. It was the homeless that couldn't be heard. They were all considered to be a certain way. Children, very difficult for children to be heard. I usually don't use the word children. I just call them young people, because when we say they're children, it's a way that they're demoted instantly, and we don't pay enough attention. And oh my gosh, they perceive so much more than we give them credit for. Stunning. And so, yeah, got to men can't be heard. And so, okay, how can I articulate men for women so that women will then be able to see and hear men in their life? I never wanted anybody to need me to do this translation. Just if I can open your eyes, get the prejudice out of our ears, and listen to these folks. And it doesn't mean that everything about them is great. No, they're human. They struggle deeply with issues of honor and accountability and shame and fealty and faith, and they're complex. And they say they're simple. Like when when men are like, "What do you do?" I've been studying men since 1991. I've literally had a man in an airplane turn to me and go, "Are you slow? We're simple." And it took a while for me to be able to say right back, "No, you're not. You're direct, and you confuse that with simple." But a woman has to pay attention to 9 things to have you understand something that she needs. Nah, that can't be true. We're simple. Took a group of men and went through the 9 steps and talked about what would happen if each one didn't happen. It was validated by the men. Oh, yeah, you do need to do all of that.
The 9 steps of what the man needs to be doing to respond to women.
No, what a woman has to do in expressing her needs.
Oh, to a man.
To a man, to support him in giving her what she needs, which men want to give us what we need, but for him to understand what it is and what it would look like and what it would provide for her, and have the chance to say what he would need from her to give it to her. Unfortunately, just starting with the first step, for the first step to make sense, The first step is ask for a time to talk. Why should I have to ask for a time to talk? I'm his wife. Well, because, and then that's the whole conversation of single focus and their intensity about doing what they're doing when they're doing it, because their brains are built that way. And if we try to tell a man what we need, and we try to do this all the time, while he's in the middle of something else, he can barely hear it, let alone take it in, interact with it, and then take it on. So every single one of those steps would go back to a longer conversation, which we might cover naturally, and it could add up to that.
Alison, there's so much to get into with these topics. And I am curious with your perspective about homelessness. You said you realized it starts with love and respect, and we need to solve that problem. You had been already studying men for 4 years. What was it that turned you on to, I want to study men?
When Lisa, she's a volunteer and part-time staff in the organization that I ran, when she was called a frog farmer, my life flashed before me. Like I literally saw rows of frogs, like on a farm with human heads. And there was my ex-husband, and there were all my ex-boyfriends that lasted about 2 weeks at a time, because I thought that men were con artists. And I wanted to reveal the con before I fell for it. So I would poke them. I would deliberately antagonize them to see their real self before I got sucked in. And I got to see that antagonism actually brought out the worst in them. It didn't bring out their real self. It brought out their real instincts, their need to protect themselves from me, which is one of the worst things that we do with men. And it's something I hope we get to talk about. There's a hierarchy in what we pay attention to. And men and women, both, we love being in a state of provide, of just wanting to give and able to give and provide what people need. And that's a happy place for most people. But when we're afraid, when we perceive a threat, when we feel under attack, we retract from giving to protecting. And we'll protect whatever we see as under attack. So like for too many men, and it's true for women too, because we become more and more successful. Like a man may feel like, my husband felt like the retirement fund was under attack. When honey, let's put in this pool. Let me tell you about this pool. And I tell him all about the pool. I even had pictures with sequins on them for the water sparkling, right? It was very vivid. And I showed it him, and I showed him in the yard, and it would go like this. And then he said, no. And he walked away. I yelled after him, who made you the executive branch? Why is your no bigger than my yes? It was just like, oh, I was furious. And then we unpacked it, and it took a while. But if the person who's holding themselves accountable for a result can't veto, then we can't protect the result. And it's one of the most important things to work out in a partnership, like with a family. Who's accountable for this part and who's accountable for that part? I was accountable for our children's education. So my husband empowered me when I had to go fight with the vice principal. And this is on you, honey. This is your area. And I would empower him. We called him the chief of safety. So even if I thought he was overprotective of our children, no, we're going to do what Dad says. He's the chief of safety. Oh, come on, Mom. No, if he thinks it isn't safe, we're not going to do it. Why? Because it would disempower him. He would be defeated and disempowered. He wouldn't get to provide that the way that he wanted to provide it and was built to provide it. And so this, in partnership, we've got to decide the territory. Accountability is inherently territorial, and if we don't say, yes, that's your territory and I will honor that. And this is what I need you to be accountable for so that I know you're also taking care of what matters to me. So that's where the partnership comes on. It's not all your way. It's deciding together what is the way. Okay, I'm the one that'll be in charge of that. And I mean, it can be gorgeous. It's just gorgeous when we're united, which I think a marriage is supposed to be a union, which means we have to keep reuniting.
So we have this, I consider it very precious time together. You have written the Queen's Code. You've written other books. You've given many, many speeches. You've done a whole body of work. Mm-hmm. If you have, about an hour or so with a woman and she's coming to you with her frustrations, her grievances, every woman's going to have different unique elements, but her challenges with men. Mm-hmm. Let's say her husband or the men she's dating and she can't hold on to them. It doesn't work out. Yes. Or the husband that's disappointing her or frustrating her or hurting her even. I mean, I'm not talking about like direct physical abuse, but I'm talking about just emotional feelings, disconnects. Where do you start with this woman? And what would you say if you have, again, this hour with her, what would you say these are some of the key secrets that you must know of the Queen's Code, as you call it, in order to discover a true intimacy and freedom in love with this man that you care about? And I know a lot of these things will also work with brothers, men in the workplace, because there's certain key secrets about a man's nature as different from a female nature.
Well, where I would start would be where she's at. It's the only place to start, is where someone's at. And underneath the frustration is so much pain and hurt and even despair. How am I ever going to get what I need from these people? And that's what can have us just, like when a woman's face is no longer radiant, and it's just, what happened? How did we get here? And how am I ever going to get what I need? And so wherever she is, where they're most aware of frustration. When I started in 1995, women were furious. We characterized our customers as angry and vengeful. And then within being angry and vengeful, could you want another possibility? And our workshop was called Celebrating Men, Satisfying Women.
1995.
1995.
You were the OG, Alison.
Activists are the OG. So, and then the ones who do it for ages. So wherever a woman is at in like at the anger spectrum, from annoyed to fury, right? Or emotionally, is she still reaching? If I'm reaching for you and you're reaching for me, anything's possible. It's when we're not going to reach anymore. And that's why we called the workshop that, so that someone who wasn't reaching, that as angry as they were, they still were curious about celebrating men. Even if they came and they were skeptical, just that they put themselves in the seat, right? So if someone wants something other than what they've got, then everything I do can help. If they're not reaching anymore, they're just purely defensive and arguing for what their life and how they do it, and who men are really this or that. Or same with a man. If a man isn't reaching anymore for who women are, that he's been so hurt and objectified and gone without what he needed for so long that he won't reach anymore, that there's the opposite side, right? We've got how the derision of men, and we've got the derision of women on the other side. And it's all underneath that is a whole bunch of pain and unfulfilled needs. So I would start there. And then depending on what she said, it might be, we need to talk about single focus versus diffuse awareness, because that's the source of our communication problems and our misunderstanding. Or with someone, it might be, honey, you know all those things you're doing to try to get them to love you? You don't have to.
7 Weeks Coffee is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to fund the pro-life movement and help moms and babies in need. My favorite is the Ethiopia medium roast. Its notes are smooth, chocolate, and floral. It is absolutely delicious. You have all kinds of blends available on the 7weeks.com website. What I love about this coffee is it is from the top 1 or 2% of beans in the world, and it's also mold-free, pesticide-free, ultra-low acid, and organically farmed. And this is where you and I come in. Not only can we subscribe to 7 Weeks Coffee and get the most delicious coffee delivered right to our door, we know that with every single purchase we make at 7 Weeks Coffee, they are donating a full 10% to pregnancy resource centers in need. And a huge congratulations to 7 Weeks Coffee for hitting over $1 million donated to pregnancy resource centers and moms and babies in need. Go to 7weekscoffee.com today, subscribe, and save a full 15% off your order. And when you use the code Lila, you get an additional 10% off your first order. That's a full 25% off your first order at 7weekscoffee.com, and you'll also get a free gift. Order today and help fuel the pro-life movement. Let's start with that one.
Okay.
I think from the mind of a woman listening who, and it could be in a marriage, but also could be pre-marriage, and she's just having trouble even finding and, holding down is kind of the kind of coarse way to say it, but finding trouble even getting married.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe if for women who's married, I think it can apply too in terms of discovering that husband that they maybe dated that still wants to date them and, court them, and they have this romance in their marriage and there's still butterflies and all the fun things. And no, it now feels very different, the experience of marriage.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. As you said that, I thought of Ellen Hurst, who changed my life, because I had been studying men for about 6 months and unknowingly was using everything I was learning against them. I became better at attacking them and manipulating them because of what I'd learned about them. And Ellen called me at Ending Hunger Orange County, which is the organization I was the head of, and said, Alison, men are attracted to you like bees to honey. And when you're done with them, it's as if they've been with a vampire.
Wow.
I'm like, little old me? And she proceeded to tell me about every time she'd seen me emasculate a man, diminish a man, take the wind out of his sails, every time.
What did that look like? Because, and the reason I've got to ask this is I think most women don't even know when they're emasculating a man.
Yeah.
They wouldn't think they're emasculating a man at all.
Can I point out the 2 tracks we're on?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Here?
Yeah, please
No,
do.
because they go together. So all the things we do to try to get a man to love us, we don't have to. And it even gets in the way because men already love us. We don't have to work to get them to love us. If we stop diminishing them, if we stop disempowering them, if we stop making it harder for them to produce the results that they've got to produce, that's what gets in the way. The love part, they grant that. They are born adoring their mothers, looking into those eyes. And the misunderstanding begins by about the time they're 1 years old, like my grandson's 1.5. So we don't have to work to be loved. They love us. And if you let that in, right? If you let that in and yes, are there bad men? Very bad men. Yes, and there are very bad women too. But the rest are born and stay loving women. They love us. They need us. And they're not trying to not need us. Now there's some groups way over on the edge now of men trying to not need women. But it's because they've had the same kind of frustration in getting what they need from us. But normal, ordinary, born loving women, born wanting to protect women, born wanting to provide for women. But it goes awry because they protect us the way they see that we need to be protected. And that can make us really angry. I can do that myself. right? So we have a reaction to what they perceive needs to be protected about us, which is another thing to align on in a marriage. Honey, this is what I need to be protected from. Mostly we need to be protected from ourselves, from the critical voice in our own heads that pipes up whenever he doesn't act the way we expect him to. Well, that's because he doesn't love you, and he doesn't love you because you're too this. You're not enough that, right? So we need to be protected from that. So if someone accepted their men love me, there's no scarcity of love. I am loved. That changes a whole life. That changes how you be in the world. And one of the things that's most important about that is we're either on the offense, or most women are on the offense with men, or on the defense with men. Both of them cause mischief. If we could neither be on the offense, attacking like I was, or defensive, prove it to me, show me, right? If we could be just in the middle, open. Who are you? Who are you, and how much do you want to know who I am? Really? Oh, we can begin. And then there's what I call due diligence, especially for picking a mate. We say the M word too soon and the D word too soon. There's so much we need to get to know about each other to see if we fit. And I learned this from men, actually. Started asking men, do you want to be married? Almost all of them said yes. But they never left out the sentence afterwards, the qualifier. When I meet the right person, if I meet the right person, to the right person, hopefully I'll meet the right person. So I listened very carefully, right? So I started asking the question, what makes a woman the right person for you to marry? There are 12 things on the list that make a person the right person married. And none of them are love. Nobody said love. I love her. That was the given. That's the easy part. Loving women is not scarce to them. So they don't have to find a woman to love. They find a woman who they can, oh boy. I warned Harris that this happens, that every question has at least 5 ways to go. Men commit differently than women. Men pick up the whole package. So they start by they're looking for a woman with complementary strength. They are looking for strength, and they see a woman that's really, really, really strong, but they don't need to be duplicated. And they don't want to be duplicated. They want to be admired for the ways that they're strong that you aren't. And the only reason they want to be admired by you is because they admire you. It's not because they think so little. We want to be admired by the people we admire. So men scan for complementary strength. It's in their nature. They do it all the time. We do it too for a different reason, but they do it. It's like they're always filling a team or looking for a partnership. And then when they find it and, she likes me, that's one of the 12 things. She likes me. Did our parents did your mother teach you to look for men you liked? Mine didn't. I was taught to look for beautiful men, handsome, strong, rich. Do you know, that's with the imprint back in the 70s. So still is in a lot of ways.
You mean instead of men you like? Like
yes.
They need to check a box.
It never even showed up.
Wealthy,
do
tall,
you like him?
Educated.
Yes.
Like, do you like him? Yeah.
Yes. It never even showed up. Do you like him? What do you like about him? And like when women are like, I'm so in love with him, and and the chemistry's amazing, and I'm like, okay, and do you like him? What do you mean? Do I like him? Well, if you were to have children, would you hope they would be like he is? Because you prefer how he is? Huh? What? We're not taught to think of these things. But one of the things that makes a woman the right person is she likes me. Another is she doesn't emasculate me too much.
Wow. The bar is on the floor.
Yes. And too much changes. Men in their 30s, for example, will put up with a heck of a lot more emasculation than a man in his 50s, what we call the stages of development. A prince, highly adaptable, although he'll be really upset with himself for betraying himself. A king, no, kings have very low tolerance for emasculation. They'd rather be alone than to be diminished by a woman. So being liked, which includes being accepted. And so when a man is looking for a partner, he's looking for those complementary strengths. And then, okay, what goes with this? And when he chooses her, and we feel it in our bodies before they ever say, will you marry me? We can feel when they have picked up the whole package. We feel safe. We feel loved and we feel safe. And it's because they have accepted the stuff that goes with what they value about you the most. That's just part and parcel. And if one of their friends says, oh, but she's so, that's just how she is. And he's not out to change it, even though it might hurt him, even though it might be irritating, even though it might trip him up. He's not going to try to change it. He bought the package. And yesterday with Ellen and Andrew, the question was, what do men don't know about women? And many of the things were men don't know what women don't know about them. That's one of the most important things for men, which is why I love they can do our Understanding Men workshop. In person, it was only for women. Men get to watch it online and be my students and learn what women don't know about men. And they find out all these things they didn't know about themselves. So here's the thing, just to finish that one. Women don't buy the whole package. And we actually need to do it intentionally. And if I ever took on being a marriage counselor, which I sometimes end up being like that in odd ways because I interact with my students a lot, we commit one acceptance at a time. One, that's how he is. That's what he needs. That works better for him. Okay. I've known women who had wedding ceremonies 30 years ago, and there's hardly anything about their husband they have accepted. They're still trying to change him at his core. They're trying to change who he is, which is expressed in what he values, what's worth his time and energy. And they're trying to change what he spends his time and energy on. No, that feeds him. It feeds him. That's why he does it, because it feeds him. You want him to not be fed?
Or they accept it in a dismissive and resigned way.
It's not acceptance.
It's not acceptance.
That's put up with. That's be resigned to it, not acceptance.
And that creates hostility in a marriage.
Oh my gosh.
It's very dark, a dark energy that brings it.
Yes, that's a good word for it. If only it was dark and still, but it's so damaging. It's cancerous. Anywhere from a full-on assault to just a cancer eating away. When I want to change you.
EveryLife.com is America's pro-life baby diaper and wipes company. I love EveryLife.com and I use EveryLife diapers and wipes for my little ones because these are a best-in-class product that are clean. There's no harmful dyes or fragrances or phthalates in this product. It is designed to be healthy for your little one and good for your little one's skin. If you go to EveryLife.com/join today, by joining the Changing Lives Club, you not only get 10% off your monthly diaper and wipes subscription, in addition to that, you'll get a free tote bag, and EveryLife.com will donate a box of diapers and wipes to a mother and baby in need. And I'm excited to share, EveryLife.com is now offering training pants for your little one. These are 12-hour leak-proof training pants, pull-ups for that little one that is maybe potty training. You got to check them out. That's EveryLife.com/join. Use the code Lila. This question of why can't some women feel like they can get a man to marry them, basically, that they like or that they love. And then there's, conversely, the women that are married that are thinking, he's not the man I married. Like, where's the romance? Where's the love? Where's the attention, the care? Mm-hmm. And I think that a core principle you're sharing here, which is so powerful, is that men, when they marry, they don't go into the marriage, ready to, they've already accepted the whole package.
Yes.
But women go into the marriage and they're not necessarily aware of what they're marrying. I mean, I think what you're getting at here is we don't understand these people we're marrying.
We don't.
Or the people we're dating. And so what happens is we either marry them somehow and then we don't understand them. And there's these chronic issues in the relationship that make us unhappier and unhappier and unhappier and drive us apart. Or if we're dating, we just can't get to the marriage state because we are just not really, we're maybe emasculating them in a way we don't even realize, or we're turning them off after just a few months. We become the vampire as opposed to the princess. And so some of these core things about understanding men, what is it that you think would be the key things then that a woman has to understand if she's going to properly love a man and be loved by one and be loved by a man?
Men and women, and there's some ishi in here, okay? Because especially as our hormones change, as women age, we become more focused on producing results, more oriented that way. We can become more focused. But in general, estrogen will produce a diffuse awareness in women. To men, we appear scattered. Put a man on estrogen, he knows exactly how he got that way. Our brains are configured to scan for safety. Am I safe? Am I safe? Are my children safe? Are we safe? Are we safe? No matter what we're doing, there's part of us that's paying attention to safety. That is not true for men. Single focus has them pay attention to, what am I going to produce next? What is there to do next? What am I producing next and next and next? First things first, not the multitasking that diffuse awareness has us do. So understanding that, then we can start to reach towards each other to communicate better. Because anyone focused on productivity, their communication is going to be for the purpose of productivity. Hand me that. Go do that now. Give me that. Is that done yet? It's all organized around productivity. For women, as a physically smaller and weaker gender, which we're profoundly aware of, in ways that men don't even know, and they've cried when I've illuminated it for them, we feel safe when we feel connected, especially to the people we perceive as strong. So like they're scanning for complementary strength, we're scanning for, are you strong enough to protect me? Are you strong enough to provide for me? Are you strong enough to make strong children with me? So we're scanning for that strength, but behind it is a fear that if we're not connected, if I don't feel like we're connected, you're going to use that strength against me. So I have to keep trying to make sure we have this feeling of connection, to know that I'm here and you're going to save me from the tiger, whatever the tiger is today, even the one in my head. So we're like on auto redial to connect and connect and connect. And it causes problems. It causes problems because they're single focused. Try connecting with a wall.
And it can be an interruption.
It
Us
is
being like, connect, and they're just like,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. And this is why I would call, we say we have opposing instincts. That do you seek security and productivity? Oh yeah, we got her done. We got her done. We nailed it. Yes. Or are you looking for the feeling of safety in connectivity, in connection? So a man, for example, since we're talking in that way, being productive, hunting the deer. Oh yeah, okay, we're getting it. Oh, that's the problem. Identify the problem. Identifying the problem is a huge success, which is why they listen the way that they do to us when we're upset. What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? So identifying a problem is being productive, then coming up with a solution is being productive. And then we interrupt them to get the feeling of connection back. Hi, honey. Text. We call. We open the home office door. Hi, honey. Hi. If they even lift their head. And then we went to get connection, and our attempt to connect was rejected. And now I'm even less safe than I was before. He's mad at me?
No, he's mean.
Is he mad? He's mean, or is he mad at me? Or why didn't he look up? Was it because of what I said to him this morning? And we spin out. We spin out trying to figure out the why. But we don't come up with accurate answers because we answer our why questions with why a woman would have done that.
Wow. And that's where the drama, all the unnecessary drama comes in.
Yes.
Because we think they're reacting the way we would have, or that bad best friend that hurt us, or whatever, that woman that, whatever. And it's not even just the male experience.
It's not even just that, it's not just even that we think it. We're sure of it. And we'll tell them, you did this because of that. No, I didn't. And they turn around and walk away. Why are you walking away? And if he were to articulate, say, because this isn't worth doing. You can't hear me. I can't be heard. I can't win here. This is a waste of time and energy. They just shut up. When they can't be heard, they just shut up. And there's so much about them we never see or know because we don't listen long enough, and we're sure we're right. I mean, there's a joke. If a man's alone in the woods and he speaks, is he still wrong? Yeah. So in all likelihood, a woman who's struggling even to get to the point to have a marriage where now he becomes different, and there's a good reason why he becomes different. He will become different the moment you say yes. The moment he decides you're the one and you agree, he will change. Because they buy the whole package, when you say yes, he's now married. He's now married. He's just been upgraded to husband 1.0. He's going to function with the accountabilities of 1.0. It starts now. When's the wedding? I don't know. She's dealing with that. But he's being a husband before the wedding. The wedding's for the community, for the friends, for the fun, for her. He's already a husband, which means he holds himself to new standards and new territory. It's my job now to protect you from that. I watched you struggle with that the whole time we were dating. Now I'm going to protect you from it because you're mine and this is my job. And so they change. They really do change. When they pick us and we agree, they change. Their accountabilities expand. And if we aren't supporting them in what they're being accountable for, they have to stay in protect energy. And protect energy is like lead.
Protecting themselves in this case.
No, or even just working so hard to protect you.
Oh, they have to go. You're saying
they can't play with you.
It's a stress now.
Yeah, it's now a stress to protect you. Honey, you're wearing yourself out on the wedding. Honey, you're so tired. Honey, can you just let that go for now? Men need our vitality. Our life force recharges their battery to go out there and be productive. So when we're tired, it's like having your charger. You can't plug in. There's nothing to plug into. She's too tired. So from her tiredness, he is wearing down. We're meant to be complementary. We're so made for each other. I swear, when I first started studying men, I came about it from an anthropological point of view. What if there's a good reason for all of this, right? And there's so much that makes sense from the point of view of survival. But then there was a tipping point where I was like, it's too perfect. This is too perfect. This was not accidental. This did not evolve this way. This is too perfect. And there's a book I didn't write called The Belated Education of Adam and Eve. And there's a conversation in that book about these instincts that we have to procreate and protect and provide, and they compel us to do these things. And that the point of them is that so human beings could use their consciousness for more important things. They wouldn't have to pay attention to surviving. That's hardwired. Now use your parasympathetic nervous system to connect.
For love.
To connect with God, with spirit, with each other, for love. And so, but we all have two nervous systems. And if we keep antagonizing the most primitive nervous system, then that's where our time and energy gets spent. If we just take care of that, what are just the basic needs here? If we take care of that, then we have access to the best part of ourselves. And it's true for both men and women. And this is why a woman seeking a mate, seeking her protector and provider, if she doesn't know she's already loved, if she thinks there's a scarcity of a right person, like she's got to find the one. Are you the one? Are you the one? Are you the one? What if there isn't just one? What if there's so many different flavors of partnership and union that you could have? So what's the one that lights you up? What's the one like I married my husband? I married my husband because he brought out my best me. I loved what he brought out of me. And it started with how safe he had me feel. And then how much he appreciated how I am. He liked me, which is another thing that women don't look for. Does he like me? Do I feel liked? Or even the question, okay, forget how great he is. Do I like who I am when I'm around that person? Ew, no. Oh, there's such chemistry and attraction. Yeah, that's why you're a ninny around him. Tone it down. That'll always bring out the worst in you. It brings out the worst in both of us, men and women. So, but does he like me? And do I like me? Do I like who I am when I'm around that person? There's a recording on our site called Causing Those Loving Feelings. And it's literally, what is there to pay attention to cause the space of love in ourselves to expand in general, to expand for another person, to expand even for ourselves, to love ourselves more. And it has everything to do with admiration and respect and affinity, which means liking someone. So if we don't feel liked and they don't feel liked, the space of love is like squished. And, oh, he's so wonderful. Really? What do you admire about him? Admire? If women were looking for what's admirable about this man, like the question at the top of the head instead of what's wrong with him, what do I admire about him? What do I admire about him? What do I admire about him? Like a treasure hunt, looking for what there is about this person to admire. Even when there's a lot to not like, you can end up admiring them. I really admire that person. And so in answer to your question, the struggle comes from we're paying attention to the wrong thing. We're trying to be loved by being whatever we think will make them love us, on top of they already love us. And then we think we're dealing with a kind of woman that we can, if we just criticize them enough, they'll act right. And women criticize men because criticism changes women. We have almost no protection against criticism. If we're not engaged in admiring and respecting and liking ourselves, we'll be slayed by criticism. We will change from criticism. We think men are the same. And so we criticize them as a way to get them to change. And when they don't change, we think they didn't change because they don't love us. That's not why they didn't change. It's because they have a completely different relationship to criticism.
So in that scenario where you said he decides I'm going to marry this woman, or he's married this woman, and then he's in the protect mode, right?
Yes.
And this in the woman can dredge up then, well, his behavior seems to change though, let's just say that, let's say that. But my sort of read on it is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that often he starts to change. But the person who actually has changed first in many ways is her, but she doesn't realize that she's changed.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Well, they're both changing.
They're both changing.
They're both
Okay.
changing. And it changes with each sort of level. Okay, now you're my boyfriend. So now my expectations of you change. And what I expect you to expect of me changes. So I'm going to change to be what I think a girlfriend's supposed to be, what I think a fiance is supposed to be, what I think a wife is supposed to be. Unfortunately, we don't talk about this. So, honey, after we're married, what is it about me that you hope I never change?
Great question.
Yes. And especially because what they love about us are all ways of being. It's how we're being. But our capacities, because we are stuck with these human bodies, the qualities of being, they're spiritual qualities. But for us to truly be them, we have to embody them. So how do you get patience in your body? I get it with sleep. A lot of women not sleeping enough, so they don't have that patience. Is amazing, right? Compassion, love, joy, generosity, serenity. Oh my gosh. Peacefulness. Peacefulness is one of the most attractive and awe-inspiring qualities in a woman. Now, does that mean sedate? No, because they need playfulness. They need us to play with them. It's one of the ways our energy flows to them is when we're playing with them.
So you mentioned sleep.
Yes.
And I when I think about the woman that changes, or the woman that's in a dating relationship and frustrated and or in a marriage and she's getting frustrated, it does often source with or come from a turbulence in her. You know, she has a need that's not being met. Mm-hmm. She has a frustration that she's just, working at. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned sleep, and I think that's such an incredibly powerful thing that a lot of women don't have today. We're harried, we're worried, we're frazzled, yes. We're frustrated, we're burnt out,
right?
In many ways. How much would you say of our relational issues are from women not really taking care of our own selves and having expectations that are impossible then for the people around us, especially the men?
It's a great question. And I would say it's pretty near 50-50. 50% is that we don't know who we're interacting with. We think we're talking to a hairy, misbehaving woman. And they're not. And they think they're talking to a scattered, emotionally indulgent man. And they're not. And so I would say at least 50% of it is misperception, misinterpretation, misunderstanding, mischief, okay? And probably the other 50% is that we don't know how, and we don't prioritize because we don't know how important it is. We don't know how to cause ourselves to be our best selves. And this is a really big part of my work. How do you take spiritual values and embody them in a way that you naturally be that way? You don't have to say to yourself, be patient, be patient, be patient. No, you are patient. This is one of the things I think mothers have to decide. What is it most important for me to be for my children? And we can't have 10 of them. We got to have maybe 2. And what I wanted to be for my children was patient. Children collapse when their parents are impatient. It's like somebody squishing them. And I have 3 incredible kids. My son is your age. He's my eldest. And they were born incredible, right? God made them. Of course, they're incredible. I only take credit for not squishing them too much. Just to let them keep unfolding in who they're meant to be, to discover and to become who they're meant to be. And so patience was what I chose, that was going to be my priority. And I didn't sleep for myself. I could stay up into the wee hours and be a happy camper for myself. I slept for patience. I slept for my kids. And my kids learned. My kids learned not to wake me up. And I overheard my son say, wait till it says 7 on the clock. and she'll be patient.
Really?
Yes.
So you taught your kids, when I sleep, I'm a better mama. I am patient.
I am patient. And that's one of our jobs. We figure out, like, mom needs a timeout. I'm going to be walking around the yard. Y'all stay in here. Keep safe. Okay.
Hard when there's a 1-year-old
well,
untethered.
That's a little tricky.
Yeah.
That's a little tricky. But it's...
Put them in the playpen.
But very early, they can learn this. And I remember once I looked in the rearview mirror and my son was sitting between his 2 sisters and they'd asked me, Mom, can we go to the movies? And I was like, I don't know. And like, come on. And then I was started to think about, well, how could we go to the movies? And I looked in the rearview mirror and my son Jeff was going, and I had taught them this. I can give you a no immediately. If you want a yes, you have to be quiet and give me a chance to think about it. Young people need to be empowered. How do I get the mom I need? How do I get the dad I need? It's not about walking on eggshells. It's how do I know? What do I do? And I used to I didn't even know how like frazzled I was until I would feel these little fingers going like this in my hair. And then oh, you're getting the monsters out. That's what we called it. When I was frazzled, my kids knew if they just touched my hair.
That is so sweet, Alison.
If they just touched my hair. One time they made me lay down on the ground. And one had a brush and one used their fingers. Another was rubbing my back. And they were just like getting, let's have mom be mom again.
But the thing that's so beautiful about that, of course, it's helping you, but it's this bond where you guys are on the same team for how we're going to be loving with each other and be harmonious together because we're human beings and made in God's image and we're special and this is special. And so we're going to really work for each other in this special way. I mean, that's what that is. It's cooperation together.
Yeah, it's partnership.
It's partnership.
That's one of the definitions of partners on the same side or team. Yeah, and if you're figuring out, okay, what do you need? And instead of thinking it's stupid, okay, could you say more about that? What would it look like if you were getting it? Okay, and what would that provide for you? Because it sounds ridiculous to me, but let's go with this. We have a format for this. It's called making a deal. So what do you need and what would it look like? And if I did that, what would that provide for you? Really? You'd get that from that? Now suddenly it starts to be worth doing. Oh, okay, wait a second. Let me see if, okay, I'm willing to do it. I see the benefit. I'm willing to do that. I want you to have that. Is there anything I need to give you what you need? Yes. It's good when the answer is yes. And this is the thing that happens a lot, is that we try to have people be accountable and generate what's important to us. No, they're accountable and they generate what's important to them. If your husband doesn't generate dates, it's because dates aren't important to him. That's why it's on you to generate the date. And he'll want to know where you want to go instead of picking the restaurant. Why? Because he wants to make you happy.
So it dates more for women than for men?
A lot of times, yes. And then, but if we look to see whatever's important to us, if I'm asking you to be accountable for something that's important to me, and I ask you what you need, I'm hoping what you need from me is going to be the initiation of the whole process. I want it to be in my hands because this is my need. This is important to me. So when Dan, my boyfriend, says, will you text me? Of course. Because he's just said yes to something I asked of him. If I text him, that's all he needs, and he'll go do it. He'll go do it. But why should you need a text? You should remind yourself. Why can't you remember to do things for me? We take it personally. We think it means something. No, they know that they're focused. They know they're going to be focused at the time that they're supposed to be doing that. So they need something to interrupt the focus to make sure they do it. They're trying to manage themselves to give us what we need.
It sounds like a big part of what you're saying, though, is that we need to know what we need. So back to the sleep thing. I mean, and even you as a mom, what a self-aware mom that you knew I'm crabby because I'm tired. So I need to find a way to rest more. And I want to get my kids incorporated in this rest project so that they have more fun with mom because I'm not so impatient. But you're taking that intentionality of walking through a plan, basically, of how to make sure that you have what you need and identifying what that need is and then creating the plan to achieve it.
Well, I didn't have a plan. It evolved, but it did start with, and the word we use is clarity. It all starts with clarity. When I feel like I'm myself, when I like myself the most, how am I being? What am I being? Oh, I'm being compassionate and I'm being empowering. I want people to be more able, and I'm seeking the truth, and I'm telling the truth even when I don't like it. Right? And these are my highest values. And partnership is in there. Contentment, happy enough with what one is or does or has. That's my spiritual practice. Contentment. It's one of the things that I embody. So we have to start with what we want to be in order to know what we need. Okay, I want to be patient. What gives me patience? Sleep gives me patience. How much sleep? And actually quantify it and start to notice, oh, the same amount of sleep started an hour later does not have the same effect. If I start my sleep slide, which men don't know about women, men don't know what a process it is for us to fall asleep. They just conk out. They don't know what we have to do to quiet ourselves to be able to surrender to sleep. So we have to start sometimes 2 hours ahead of time in order to be able to be asleep when we want to be asleep. So start with, what do you want to be? What are your highest values? What are you the happiest? And even checking if you're in a relationship, what are the ways of being that you love about me the most? How do you need me to be? They need you to be a particular way. You have a son and 2 daughters?
2 sons and a daughter.
Two sons and a daughter. Your sons need you to be particular ways, and it may not be the same. One may need you to be patient, another needs you to be playful. One may need you to be engaged with them, and the other one needs you to just be okay with how I am, Mom.
Respect them.
Yes.
I know we're going a lot of different directions here, but it's all fascinating. So thanks for rolling with me. But this morning, actually, I was convicted reading your book and reflecting on part of your book with an interaction I had with my son. And I made him pancakes, and all my kids made them pancakes. And anyways, he is so hungry. This little guy is so hungry in the morning. He's growing, he's 3. And so he's sitting at the table and he's already starting to pick off part of the pancake with his fork. And he also is proud that he knows how to use his fork and does his own pancake.
Yes.
And I said, we're going to say prayers. And he's ignoring me because he's not a girl. He's a boy. He's very locked in. And so I said, Leah, we're going to pray first. We're going to pray. Ignoring me. So I just took the fork from his hand. And then I prayed and he's starting to get upset. We pray. And then and then I take the fork, another fork and a knife, and I just cut his pancake. And I just talk about emasculating my son, because what happened is he burst into tears. I don't know if he was straight up crying, but he was very upset, went to the garage to sulk.
Yes.
And I realized that, yes, of course he needs to pray before his meal. And that's a boundary that I do want to, help our kids respect, because we get our food from God. God is everything.
Yes.
But the way that I did it, and the way that I rushed him, and then the way that I cut his pancake without being aware that he wanted to cut his own pancake. And that's a big deal.
Yes.
And so,
yes.
So, it just was very kind of striking to me, because I was thinking about the part of your Queen's Code about emasculation. And I think you had a part in there. Let me see if I saved this, about actually even children, like you can emasculate your young children, like your sons, I need to say specifically, obviously. A young mother roughly forced her son back into the child's seat at the shopping cart, saying, "Why can't you sit still like your sister?" When the woman turned away, Kimberly saw the young boy angrily pinch his baby sister.
The comparison is diminishing, which is one of the definitions of emasculation, is to diminish the ability to produce results. So,
and expecting something unreasonable in that moment.
Absolutely. And then they're wrong for it. Now, can I propose something for you?
Yes, of course.
So, I'm going to give you a bit of information and you'll invent it yourself. So men and women relate to their needs very differently because of single focus and diffuse awareness. So because of this awareness, like literally spread in every direction, we'll notice we're hungry. Oh, I'm getting hungry. And then we keep responding to something into the environment. Whether we're cleaning or keeping the children safe or whatever it is that we're doing, we'll keep responding. I'm hungry. And we'll keep responding. And it's finally we're like, oh my gosh, I'm starving. And we're over the sink stuffing something in our face. But we've been aware of it coming on the whole time. Men aren't built that way. This single focus, they're focused. They call it the breaking point. It's not until the breaking point. And a way to think of it is it's literally the breaking through point. So the hunger arises above the surface of the ocean. And it just and they can't think about anything else. And they're angry that this thing is keeping them from producing what they wanted to produce. It's interrupted everything. And so this is why.
And on top of that, she cut my pancake. I can't insult to injury. I apologize to him for that.
This self-sufficiency that I'm so proud of. She treated me like I can't do it. And this is really important. I mean, there's a Hungry Man dinner advertisement that makes me want to puke. He's eating his Hungry Man dinner and she reaches over with a napkin and wipes the side of his face in a commercial. And I'm like,
feminism.
He can handle his own face. But what I'd like to propose to you, since your son, hunger's going to come on so intensely, and he's not going to be able to think about anything else, and now he's got this fork, and he's going to make this happen. But I just would like to give you the possibility, like for women who are making a great meal, and then he comes in and he starts eating Cheez-Its, and you're like, all this effort, and you're ruining your appetite. If you want credit, make the appetizer. That's the thing to curb the hunger while the rest is being done, and I made that for you too. It could be with your kids, and you get to invent this. You could make something up. It's like, it's the pre-prayer. It's the kitchen prayer. Who's hungry? I'm hungry. Okay, let's gather in the kitchen. and however you invent to do it that's congruent for you, that there's a way to have the prayer and not have people breaking down.
I think that the typical morning, because this is a Saturday, we're talking right now. The typical morning is it's a cereal, it's oatmeal, it's a quick thing.
Yes.
I was doing pancakes.
Right.
A little more slow.
Gift from you.
A gift from me. And of course, I didn't I should have anticipated, he's usually already eaten by now. It was a half an hour later. And so what he needed was a snack.
Yes.
He needed a banana. He needed something as soon. But he was a little late coming downstairs. And so, but to your point, whether it's the prayer or the pre-snack, I love that, the appetizer, because that does happen with dinner. My husband will start having like chips and hummus. I'm like, the food's ready in 2 minutes,
I can't wait 2 minutes.
But preparing that intentionally.
Yes.
Like the intention behind it can just make the harmony so much sweeter.
Oh my gosh. It's a small adjustment. It's a small adjustment to understand they're at the breaking point. He didn't fall asleep on you because you're boring. He was at the breaking point of tired. And that's why they're out. They feel safe everywhere. So they can fall asleep everywhere. They can just fall asleep. No, we got to have our place that we feel safe, that it's okay to let go of awareness. So, yes.
So it's understanding men and ourselves, and then accepting.
Yeah. This
and
is
not
real.
trying to change the things
real.
that are different from us.
Mm-hmm. This is real. How do we work with it? If we just practice that. If we were listening with the question instead of, is that true for me? Or what do I think about that? Do I agree with that? If we were listening with what's true for them, or the question, what's real for them? What's real for them? And just really looking, reaching, what's real for them? Oh, that's what's real for them. Okay, so now what do we do? How do we interact with that's real for them and this is real for me? How do we both get what we most need? We'll never get everything we want or need, and if we pay too much attention to preferences, we're just doomed. The difference between a need, which gives you something valuable, versus a preference, which is just like, oh, lovely to have one's preferences. It was so lovely that you had bubbly water for me, bubbly flavored water. Yay, your preference. But what we need, we have to focus on what are the most important things that we need, and how we know it's most important is by what we want to be. What are the needs? What has me feel patient? What has me feel compassionate? What has me feel joy? Those are the needs, if those are the things that we want to be. And it can be applied to anything. And men have used this methodology. Women have used this methodology. Started developing in 1997. And it came from when I started, and a lot of women are like this, so I think this is worth talking about. I thought men either didn't care about what I needed or were purposefully withholding it. Then one of the first things that I learned in listening to them is they care very much about what we need. They care about what we need. Subject to the effects of attraction. If we're leading with the physical, that puts them in a take mode. They don't care about what we need. They're trying to get what they need. But if we're being fully ourselves, self-confident, passionate, receptive, authentic, those are the top 4 qualities that have men fall in love with women, want to take care of women, want to look out for what they need, want to contribute to them in some way. Those are the things if we lead with. It's called Making Sense of Men. It's a little tiny book. And so I found out they very much want me to have what I need. If I'm not attacking them, then they can be focused on paying attention and giving me what I need. But like we project what we need onto men, men project what they need onto us. So I call it decide and provide. And both men and women do it. We decide what other people need, and then we provide it. And we expect them to appreciate it. We don't have an idea of what we think they need, then verify with them. And the words, these are the best words I found that work. It seems like, you could say to your son, it seems like you need to eat by... when it's a 3, when it's a 7, when
he's 3, he'll just, as soon as he wakes up, he needs to eat.
As soon as, it seems like, honey, do you need to eat as soon as you wake up? Yeah. There's a version of duh at every age, right? Uh-huh. Okay. What could we do about that? If you had a snack as soon as you woke up, could you wait for the Saturday morning special breakfast?
That would have been the way to go this morning, for sure.
Yeah. So I had Sunday morning special breakfast, as I know what it's like. It's a whole production. It's a gift. It's I love you. I love you. I love you. So, oh my goodness. So I found out that they want us to have what we need. They're trying to give us what we need. It's a good thing for women to think, what is he trying to give to me? What is he trying to give to me? I think my husband's so selfish. Well, what is he trying to give to me? Those are the things he's decided you need. Well, but like us, they don't check to see, do you need this? And is this need more important than this other one? And it might be, actually, there's a third that's so much more important than both of those. If you would give me this. Really? No. Yes, honey, this is why. This is what it would provide for me. This is who I could be if you did that. No. They're shocked. They're shocked by what we need. And we're shocked by what they need when we're willing to listen for what's true for them, what's real for them. And miracles happen right there. It just falls out. And so when I started with, I want to be patient, so I need this, then I didn't have a plan to educate my children. It just happened in life. And I was stunned by the response, how much they wanted me to have what I needed.
We just had on a lovely woman named Mary Stanford who talked about the submission paradox and what that dynamic looks like in marriage. But she was describing this very thing that you're speaking about, which is, I think she said she was throwing a party, or an example of a woman who was throwing a party with her husband. There was so much to do. She had told him all these things that needed to be done. All of a sudden he disappears into the garage and is like tidying the garage. And she has like 10 other things. And she storms out, what are we doing? Like, wait, they're coming in an hour. Can you please? Da-da-da. And he thought he was being helpful.
Yes.
And he was on the one track, and it was that it was a little disruptive. It's like, oh, and then she's not pleased. And it could have been prevented with the steps of communication that you were alluding to earlier.
Yes.
The steps of making these needs known and then helping the man come to an understanding of, this shared clarity. But there's a process there.
There's a process, and there's a problem right at the beginning, Lila. What is the other person's learning language? My sister-in-law was furious at my brother for years because she'd tell him something that needed to be done, and he'd say he would, and then he'd forget. And she was so mad. She was so mad. And then she noticed, and this took years to notice, but they have a passel of kids, so her attention was elsewhere. How many times he pulled the slip of paper out of his pocket and looked at it during the day. They ran a farm together. They still do. He'd look at his list. He'd look at his, and one day she went, could I get on that list? Something I need? Could I get on this? And he was like, yeah, sure. Changed everything. What she asked him for that he used to forget about, instead they put it on his little crumpled piece of paper, and all of a sudden it was getting done and getting done and getting done. Just because she discovered what worked for his mind, right? He needs the list, Dan needs the text. What does your man need? So like for the party, a list in order of priority. Like if we run out of time, what's the extra time list? These are the things that would make it extra special. What's absolutely necessary list? Oh, okay, start at the top. But then you're going to run into, when you partner with a man will say, how can I help? What they don't know is most women think, how can you help? Is there anything you can do the way I want it done? No, there's nothing you can do. I have to do it all myself. And they're like, oh. So my husband and I, we invented this thing called certification. And he's like, I want to get certified in making you breakfast. Okay. My breakfast was very complicated. He got certified in making it, and he made it better than I did. Later on, he was like, I want to be certified in making your coffee. Okay. Also very complicated. But you can ask, I'd like to be certified in this so that you trust me. This is a way I can help you.
There's probably a woman listening who's thinking, what? He's asking you for permission for how he can specifically do a task for you.
Yes.
And you have your characters in your book, this incredibly beautiful marriage of many, many years that is sort of the archetype couple. And they have this partnership that's just mind-blowing to everybody who encounters it. So the women in the book are going on the journey to find out how did you build this partnership. And I can see it was modeled after your own experience. But what was she doing long before he asked her that question? And this, I know we're going different places here, but this kind of goes back to that question of the woman who gets married, her husband, she feels like he's no longer dating her, courting her. Yes. The romance is gone. He's so busy. He's just workaholic, or he's just focused on other things. He's checked out. That's how she perceives him. That's how she's perceiving him. And you talked about the importance of a woman having vision for what she needed, her care for herself, peace, these qualities.
Okay, there's a missing ingredient.
Yes.
I'm so glad you brought it back again and again. It's like a post I get to keep going around. One of the short ways to say it is men play for points. Men play for points. They got to score. They got to win. They got to get the points on the board. They have a vision for their career, where they want to get to, and they're always trying to get to that. So if, for example, a man is always at work and never wanting to be home, he's getting a lot of acknowledgement at work. He's scoring a lot of points. He's being admired. It's respected. It occurs as worth it. Men will keep doing for other people what's appreciated. They need to be appreciated a lot. Admiration and appreciation. It's their fuel. It's what makes what they do worth doing. What it caused for you, oh my gosh, she is radiant. And she gives me credit for that. Honey, thank you for letting me sleep in. You're welcome. And so we have to, so much of what stops happening is because we expect them to do it. And so we think they don't deserve appreciation for doing something they just should do. So we don't appreciate them.
Wow. We stop saying thank you.
We stop being thank you. Honey, thank you. Thanks for doing that for me. And this is where we take so many things personally that aren't personal. Like single focus, we take personally. He's ignoring me. No, he's ignoring everything but what he's doing. And he didn't have to do that. His brain did it for him. But so there's all these things we take personally. And then there's the things we don't take personally. That what they do for us, they do for us. What they do for your kids, what dads provide with their kids. Greg taught me this. He said, honey, I don't expect to be appreciated by the kids for a long time. Your appreciation is what I need. So my Father's Day card to him, he loved what the kids made him, but what my Father's Day card said to him, that was actually our last conversation before he died. It's about being a dad and knowing what I needed and being a mom. So it's anything. If you're like, he used to do this, before we got engaged, he used to do this. When we were dating in the beginning, he used to do this. When we were this, he used to do this. Anything they used to do, they're able to do. And they stopped doing it because it wasn't appreciated. It wasn't taken personally. We actually start to think, oh, that he likes to do that. Men don't care a lot about what they like to do or want to do. No, I don't want to load the dishwasher. Will I? Yes. If it makes a difference for her. And I don't have to load the dishwasher the way she loads the dishwasher, unless I'm certified. That's the tail end. Anything that you cause, like with what you're going to learn in the Queen's Code about how to tell a man what you need, it'll have it done once. If it's not appreciated, it won't be done again. And that's one of the questions that we have to ask. And we actually have a program on it about it called the appreciation equation. Because each of us, we don't necessarily want to be appreciated the same way. What is appreciation? I call it a currency of appreciation. We don't all have the same currencies of appreciation. Like one of my currencies of appreciation, it's lovely how grateful people are of what they've learned from what I've learned. And I'm a messenger, and this is my job to get this out. It's a big misunderstanding. We're not who you think we are, whether we're a man or a woman. I have to do that. My currency of appreciation is when someone does something with what they learned from me. That's when they tell me about that, this is what I did with what I learned from you. They're really telling me about how they were courageous, that they took a risk, they tried something different. And that's what moves me, is that they were courageous enough to try that. They were courageous enough to lay down the sword, to stop justifying diminishing men and find out how to interact with them empowered. I gave it up when I saw how terrified I was of them and that I was stealing their power. And I realized I'd never know my own power as long as I was diminishing theirs. And I was like, okay, let's go. So appreciation is the clarity in the beginning, the description. This is empowerment. The appreciation is the thing that begins the cycle all over again. I call it providing, receiving, providing, receiving, providing, receiving. It's a stairway to heaven. And we first provide the clarity and the difference it would make, and the ask, would you give me this? A real ask, not, why aren't you doing this? That's not an ask. People want to be asked, not told. We're the same that way.
You have a scene in the Queen's Code where the woman who's trying to learn how to not diminish and misunderstand and ultimately be at disharmony with men, she does this sort of thought experiment, or it's not a thought experiment, it's a behavioral experiment where she engages a man, and in this case it's her boss, but then it's other men, and just basically asks them to give their perspective on something and does not interrupt. And she becomes this very effective listener to understand men.
Yes.
Would you say that's the most important tool to understanding men, is to literally ask them a question and just listen? And at maybe the time that is a good time for him, as opposed to, a time of her choosing that's maybe not convenient for him.
Well, it is one of them. It's right up there. And there's, of course, nuances. So we call it waiting for the well. That men are naturally committal. So when you ask them a question, if they're going to answer it, they have committed to answering the question. And they want to give you the best answer they can. So they're thinking about the answer. We've usually already interrupted twice by then. So if you want to learn from men, whether it's something about the world or about a profession or a skill or about who they are, ask questions, but only ask questions that you are committed to hearing about. You're committed to finding out what their response is, which might not be an answer, it might be a response to their question, to the question. Don't just ask any old question in order to try to get a connection. That's what we normally do. Only ask real questions. we have a list in our Understanding Men course of 101 great questions to ask men and it's a way of getting to know them. But we didn't interrupt them. We'd write the questions down on 3x5 cards and they got to pick which ones they wanted to answer and they were not interrupted. And
They picked out of the 101.
Well,
You narrowed it down to maybe 10.
Well, the 101 evolved from hundreds of questions that were submitted by women over the years in our workshops. And then the ones that got the most interesting responses from our panels of men, they ended up in the 101 questions list. So don't ask a question you're not willing to wait for. And then wait. We encourage counting to 30. Most men come in at about 18, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. If it's a feeling question, how do you feel about? And you really want to know how they feel about it. I understand how you think about this, honey. How do you feel about it? That is so far down in the bottom of the well. You can get back to me in the next week or so if you need to. It might take that long for him to drill down that far. And so we've got to commit to it first. We've got to be willing to wait for how long it takes them to commit and go get that information for us. They tend to not talk off the top of their head. If they are talking off the top of their head, it's a neural pathway and you're going to hear the same thing over and over again. It's not purposeful. It's not conscious. And then listen and appreciate. And what happens is you can't just listen. This is what our course called Lux focuses on a lot because you might have noticed I keep going like this. We have questions at the top of my head. Well, that's where that is for me. It might be over here for somebody else, but there are questions that are related to surviving. Like, what do I think about that? What do I know about that? What do I want to say about that? What does this have to do with me? What do you need from me? What's the point? What's the point? What's the point? That's what men are often. Is there a point? Are we getting to a point? They'll even interrupt and say that. Is there a point here? You can tell how people are listening by what they interrupt with. Well, what I know about that is, so most of the time you were talking, all they were wondering was, what do I know about that? What do I want to know about that? They didn't hear most of what you said. You just instigated a conversation. You provoked a conversation with themselves. So when you ask a question of a man, if you are not paying attention, you'll have is that true for me? Do I agree with that? What do I think about that? So what you'll glean from his answer may be a fraction of the wealth that's within it. If you're not, we call it listening to learn. And what do you want to learn about them? Are you listening with what matters to him? Treasure hunt. Oh my gosh. What's important to him? What does he care about? Those are 3 different ways to get to the heart of what causes a man to do what he does.
Asking those questions. What is important to you?
No, in your head.
Oh, as he's talking.
Yeah.
To try to mine the depths of what he's saying.
How was golf today? Wait, how was golf be a treasure hunt? Because he starts talking about his golf game and you're listening what matters to him. And all he's telling you is about the connections and interactions he had with his son. Oh, what matters to him? His interactions with his son, being with his son. That's why in my relationship with my boyfriend, we know we make plans unless Trey calls. Because his children are his first priority. And I don't want to be his first priority. And I support him in connecting with his children. And if I listen to, so how was golf? He'll talk about I didn't play very well, but Trey and I, right? So it doesn't really matter what they're talking about. If you're listening, what matters to them. If you're listening, what are they could be really mad at you. And you could listen, what does he care about? And you'll end up feeling loved. You'll end up feeling protected. That it's coming from what he really cares about you. He's so mad at you for staying up late. And now you're tired. And no. What does he care? Oh, he cares about how I can be. Oh, well, that's great. He cares more about that than how pretty I look, that I have my makeup on right.
So good. The emasculation question, I want to bring that in one more time because we've sort of talked about so many elements. All of this is so, like you said, it's an onion and you can just pull back all of these layers. But what would you say are some of the key elements of emasculation that women may be doing that they don't realize that they're doing? If you could just give us maybe 3 things, or you pick the number of this is what emasculation looks like, and this is how we can avoid it.
Well, can I give you 3 categories?
Yes, of course.
So one category would be withholding. So this is when we're not reaching anymore. They're reaching and we're So we will withhold attention. We'll withhold affection. We will withhold intimacy. We will withhold acknowledgement. We will withhold quality information. We're not telling them the truth. They are dealing with they're spending their energy on an unreality because we did not tell them the truth. They're doing what they think is important to us because we didn't tell them. So we withhold. When in our workshops, we'd have women make lists. They'd shout out how they emasculated men. One woman said, I just don't feed them. I did that once.
Physical food.
I did that once in my first marriage. I knew we were out of milk. I knew my husband was going to come home starving and he eat a salad making bowl worth of cereal before he went to bed. And I knew we didn't have any milk. And I was on my way home and I could have stopped to get milk. And I was like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I was at the vengeful part of that marriage. But we have our son. When we both agreed he was worth 7 years of suffering. Anyhow, so withholding. Some women specialize in withholding. They withhold affection and attention, energy, admiration. It's a kind of green emasculation. It spends very little energy. I'm being economical and diminishing you at the same time. I'm just not giving you anything. That's sadly one of them. The more overt ones would be criticizing, comparing. Comparison is a huge way. Why can't you be like Susie's husband? And it could be a favorable or unfavorable, like, oh God, you're just like your father. Just go straight in. Ignoring. Now we feel ignored by men, not because we don't know it's single focus. They committed, and all their attention is there. They don't actively ignore us unless that's all they're doing. So because we feel ignored by men, we will ignore men. But they need our attention. They need our acknowledgement. They need us to see them. We're at work and we're walking down the aisles and we see somebody and we smile instead of just walking by as if they don't matter. Why should I acknowledge your presence? You don't matter. Now on the street, what men don't know is that women won't look them in the eye is because we're afraid they'll take it as an invitation, and that's too scary for us. But once I learned that I can pay very close attention to what I'm offering in an acknowledgement, and the only people I've ever had my admiration, my noticing, my smile taken wrong, there's only been 2 men in 30 years, and they were drunk. They're so sensitive to our energy. They're so sensitive to our invitation, which is, again, why if we're leading with physicality, with sexuality, they interpret that as an invitation. And too many women think it's my right to be that way. Well, okay, you can be that way. It's your right to be that way. And are you ever going to do what will give you a different result? If you're going to be that way, this is what will happen. it actually puts men in take mode. They have the most primitive instinctual reaction to us being that way. And then we think that's who they are. No. You walk around in your joy, in your glow, in your contentment, in your momness. Do you know that's a privilege to be a mom? Just how I've always related to it. It's a privilege. You walk around in that. That's what's being responded to. They want to take care of you. They want to help you. Can I carry that for you? You've got these 3 little tykes. Could I push the cart for you? Really? You do that, please, instead of I can do it myself. Well, of course you can do it yourself. It's another way we misinterpret them. We think they offer because they think we can't do it. Yes, I could go on and on and on and on. It's why we have 200 hours of videos.
It's amazing
on our site. But it's such good news, Lila, who men really are and who we are for them. I thought when I started listening to them, they'd want to talk about sports and work. No, they wanted to talk about women and love and how to take care of women. And so what's this thing about sex? Utter confusion. And I found out how amazing women are from listening to men talk about women.
Wow.
Because they'd be talking about how, his name is Brooke. He said, Alison, this is what you have to understand. Women are the unicorns in the forest. What? This is this macho sports guy, really cool, really handsome. And he's telling me this. I'm like, disconnect. I'm like, what? He goes, if a unicorn let you do something for them, would you be honored? Yes. For one husband, it's in the Queen's Code. I want to do everything for my wife that I can do so that she can be everything that I can never be.
Wow. The Queen.
Another man said, this is early on, husband, he said, I don't get this thing about equality, that women's equality and working so hard to be equal. And I don't understand. And I started to react. And then he said, seems like a step down for them. Why would you want to take a step down? We have you on a pedestal for a reason. It's clear to us. Oh.
And how much happier we are when we're working in tandem, not as we're the same. Equal partners, we're the same.
Everything you can do, I can do better. That my mother was dancing around the kitchen singing that. And I thought, oh, okay. So I'm a woman. I've got to have a man. Got to have one. And the better man, the better my getting him is, but never need anything from him.
I never really know him.
Never really. Yeah, I was never taught that they were good to get to know.
Allison, so much good stuff. And I'm dying to, a big shout out to Ellen, because I know you sat down with her husband, and I kind of wish my husband was here to give his perspective on what you're saying and ask his own questions and have that dialogue. But I'm sure that conversation was amazing. How can people find your beautiful work?
Everything I've published since 2006 is on our website, AlisonArmstrong.com. The stuff before that is on Audible and Amazon and Kindle and stuff like that. But all the stuff in the last 20 years is on our website. And there's one-off things if someone wants to just dip their toe in. And we also have a formal curriculum, 3 different levels, 100 plus hours worth of videos and things that go together. It's like a prescription. I interact. I spend about 10 hours a month answering questions for people who are going through our curriculum, which is a joy for me to get to do that and help them implement. Right? It's all about modeling and implementing. Some people want to consume my information, and I mean, everything we consume goes in one end and comes out the other. No, implement, use it, be brave, try something. Try again, ask for feedback. Could I have done that better? Or like Karen and Kimberly in the Queen's Code, she goes and asks her husband, how am I emasculating you? It's best place to start if you want to know. Ask them, and boy, talk about something that takes courage. Honey, what do I do that diminishes you? Put your big girl panties on.
Get a notebook. Get the cup of tea and sit for a while. Yeah. Hopefully not too long, but.
Hopefully not too long. But I mean, what's extraordinary, and this is what I'd like to leave women with, is we emasculate men. We diminish men a lot in relationships, on the street, at work. And yet they keep choosing us. They keep wanting one of us. It doesn't emasculate me too much. They know, they expect it. But who are we then that we're worth that? Who would you keep around who still from time to time or maybe every day diminished you? What qualities in them would have you still want to be with them? We underestimate ourselves so much. And I learned about the magnificence of women from listening to men. It's the last thing I expected to hear about. They're in awe of us.
Amazing. Yeah. So much good food for thought. Thank you, Alison. Thank you for caring so much.
You're welcome.
About harmony between the sexes. It's very beautiful. And I think it is towards that end goal that you have of every man, woman, and child, all of the material needs met and then loved and respected.
Loved and respected. Yep. Even when we are failing at those things, if where we're coming from is love and respect, it'll start to feel like heaven. Like,
I love that.
Oh, this is how it's supposed to be.
It is what heaven is like. Perfect love.
Yes.
Thank you, Alison. This was so fun.
Thank you for what you do.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of The Lila Rose Show. Please subscribe. We are growing strong over at YouTube with over 330,000 subscribers. We'd love to include you in the community, and we're so grateful for everybody who listens to the show. And if you're on podcast app, don't forget to leave us 5 stars, leave us a review. It helps the show reach more people. A huge thank you to our partner, EWTN, the largest religious broadcaster in the entire world. EWTN is reaching millions of people every single day with the beautiful truth of the gospel. You can watch new episodes of The Lila Rose Show 24 hours before they hit podcast app over at EWTN.com/on-demand.